1964. No mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny. 4 out of $100 value. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks completely ordinary. A small, copper-colored cent that most people wouldn't even notice. It feels light, it looks simple, but this humble penny hides a surprising secret. The 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny can reach a market value of $4,100. Yes, a single penny worth thousands of dollars. To understand why, let's take a closer look at its history, its design, and the unique qualities that make it so valuable to collectors. The year 1964 was a time of great change in America. The nation was moving through the post-World War II era, filled with scientific progress and cultural transformation. It was also a year of sorrow, as Americans still mourned the loss of President John F. Kennedy. But through it all, the memory of Abraham Lincoln remained a symbol of unity and freedom. His face had appeared on the penny since 1909, and in 1959 the design was updated to mark his 150th birthday. That was the year the classic wheat stalk reverse was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design. By 1964, the new design was still fresh and modern, and every coin from that year carried a sense of both tradition and progress. On the obverse, or front, we see the familiar portrait of Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His profile faces right with fine details in his beard and hair. Above his head is the phrase, "In God we trust." To the left is the word liberty. On the right, the date 1964 is struck clearly. What's missing is a mint mark. That tells us this coin was made in Philadelphia, because during that time the Philadelphia Mint usually did not place any letter mark on its coins. It's a small detail, but for collectors it's essential for identifying where the coin was struck. Turn the coin over and the reverse side reveals Frank Gasparo's design of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The level of detail is incredible. With a magnifying glass, you can actually see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Across the top, the words, "United States of America," curve proudly. Just beneath the national motto, "E pluribus unum," reminds us of unity. At the bottom, the denomination 1 cent is bold and clear. This design turned the penny into more than just money. It became a miniature piece of art that connected Americans with their history. So why would this coin, produced in the billions, be worth up to $4,100 today? The answer is condition and rarity at the highest grades. Most 1964 pennies went straight into circulation. They were spent, dropped, scraped, and tossed into jars. These coins picked up scratches, discoloration, and heavy wear. In circulated condition, they're usually worth just 1 cent. But a coin that never entered circulation, a coin kept safe with full red copper luster, no scratches, and sharp details, can be worth thousands. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC certify these top-quality examples, and at grades like MS67 Red, the value can soar into the thousands. That's where the figure of $4,100 comes from, the rarest, most flawless survivors. If you think you've found one, here's how to check authenticity. First, weigh it. A genuine 1964 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams, made from 95% copper and 5% zinc. Anything lighter or heavier is suspicious. Second, check the edge. It should be smooth, not ridged. Third, look closely at the details of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial. The lines should be crisp, not blurry or uneven. Finally, inspect the date carefully to make sure it hasn't been altered. If in doubt, sending it to a grading company for certification is the safest step, because once it's graded, buyers have confidence in its authenticity and value. Now let's talk about storing a valuable penny. You can't treat it like spare change. Oils and dirt from your fingers can permanently damage its surface. Always hold it by the edges, preferably with cotton gloves. Store it in a protective holder like a coin capsule, a mylar flip, or an acid-free folder. Avoid PVC plastic holders, as they release chemicals that damage copper. And most importantly, keep the coin in a cool, dry place, away from sunlight or humidity. Copper reacts quickly to the environment, and once the surface is damaged, the value drops dramatically. Proper storage is the key to protecting your investment. Collectors love the 1964 penny for several reasons. It represents the early years of the Lincoln Memorial design. It connects to the history of the 1960s, And it's one of the last years pennies were made with a high copper content before the eventual switch to copper-plated zinc in the 1980s. For some, it's nostalgia, a memory of childhood change jars and penny candy. For others, it's the artistry of the design or the thrill of owning a near-perfect coin from a common year. Whatever the reason, the demand remains strong, and when an exceptional piece appears at auction, the bidding can get intense. In fact, high-grade examples have fetched thousands. Coins graded MS-67 red have sold for well over $4,000, and rare error varieties, such as double dies or off-center strikes, can bring even more. These rare auction results keep collectors searching and hoping that the penny sitting in their pocket or tucked away in an old jar could be one of those special finds. The 1964 No Mint Mark. Lincoln Memorial Penny is proof that even the smallest coin can carry a huge story. It's not just a piece of copper, it's history, it's art. It's a reminder of Abraham Lincoln's enduring legacy. And for the lucky collector, it can also be a $4,100 treasure. So the next time you see a penny from 1964, don't brush it aside. Look at it closely, handle it carefully, because you might just be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Next up, when you take a closer look at the 1969 No Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, you realize this small copper coin is not just an ordinary cent, but a miniature piece of American history with a hidden worth that can rise as high as $3,800 in today's collector market. At first, it might appear as nothing more than a well-worn coin you could easily find rattling in an old drawer, sitting in a change jar, or hidden away in a family piggy bank. But beneath its modest surface lies a fascinating tale of design, production, preservation, and collector passion. The year 1969 was one of immense cultural and political change in the United States, a time marked by the Apollo 11 moon landing, ongoing struggles for civil rights, and the transformation of American identity during the Vietnam War era. Against this backdrop, the United States Mint continued to produce Lincoln cents that carried both the timeless dignity of President Abraham Lincoln's portrait and the newly adopted reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had only been introduced a decade earlier in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This penny, lacking a mint mark, tells us it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which during that period typically did not add identifying letters to its coinage. The absence of a mint mark might not seem important at first glance, but for numismatists, it immediately identifies the place of production and helps distinguish it from its counterparts minted in Denver or San Francisco, making it a necessary factor in tracking down genuine and valuable examples. On the obverse side, designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's profile continues to stand as one of the most recognizable and iconic images in American coinage. His face faces right, his hair and beard intricately carved, projecting an air of calm determination that perfectly symbolizes his leadership during one of the darkest periods in U.S. history. Above his head sits the enduring motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase deeply tied to American identity, while to the left we see the bold word, liberty. To the right, the date 1969 appears clean and deliberate, its sharpness or softness depending heavily on the wear of the coin. For collectors, the sharpness of these details can mean the difference between a common penny worth face value and an immaculate specimen that sells for thousands. The reverse side, the work of Frank Gasparo, displays the elegant Lincoln Memorial, carefully struck with pillars that, under magnification, reveal the miniature statue of Lincoln inside the central chamber. Surrounding the memorial are inscriptions declaring United States of America above, the Latin phrase "e pluribus unum" just beneath it, and the denomination 1 cent at the bottom. While billions of these coins were minted, the artistry remains impressive, reminding us that even everyday change carries with it the vision of skilled engravers and the weight of national symbolism. The question remains, how could a penny with such an enormous mintage end up valued at $3,800? The answer lies in the twin forces of condition and rarity at the highest levels. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of these coins for circulation, and most were spent in everyday transactions, exposed to pockets, purses, vending machines, and years of circulation damage. As a result, finding a pristine 1969 penny is exceedingly rare. Collectors are not only interested in the date, but also the surface quality, luster, strike, and overall appearance of the coin. A coin in circulated condition, showing scratches, discoloration, and wear, will almost always remain worth just a cent or perhaps a few cents to someone building a basic collection. But a mint state, MS-67 or higher, coin with brilliant red surfaces, no signs of contact marks, and perfect strike detail can attract fierce bidding at auctions, with prices climbing into the thousands. The $3,800 figure reflects sales of these ultra-high-grade examples certified by trusted grading companies, showing how condition can transform a common coin into a financial prize. For collectors hoping to verify whether they have an authentic and potentially valuable 1969 no mint mark Lincoln penny, careful checking is required. The first step is to confirm the weight and composition, since genuine pieces weigh about 3.11 grams and are made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. If a coin seems unusually light or heavy, it could indicate tampering or a counterfeit. Examining the lettering and numbers under magnification is also critical. The spacing, font style, and alignment of the date, 1969, should appear natural and consistent. Many counterfeiters attempt to alter common pennies to mimic rarer varieties, so a trained eye is necessary to spot the difference. Professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC are invaluable in this regard, since they not only authenticate coins, but also provide official grades that directly influence market prices. One should also pay attention to errors that occasionally occurred in minting. Though the Philadelphia Mint was efficient, mistrikes like double dies or off-center strikes did occur and can raise the value dramatically if present. However, true errors are far less common than ordinary circulation wear, so only a careful, methodical examination can reveal such features. Once authentication is assured, the next crucial step for collectors is ensuring proper storage. Unlike everyday coins tossed into jars, a coin like this must be treated with absolute care to preserve its value. Handling it improperly can instantly reduce its worth by hundreds of dollars. For the 1969 penny, it is recommended to use cotton gloves when touching it, preventing the natural oils from your skin from corroding or staining the delicate copper surface. Storage should always be in airtight coin capsules or inert holders made from materials free of harmful chemicals like PVC, which can damage the coin over time. Some collectors prefer slabbed coins, meaning coins that have been graded and sealed by professional services in tamper-proof plastic cases, ensuring long-term preservation. The environment is also key. Coins should be kept in a cool, stable place with low humidity and away from direct sunlight, since copper can tone or discolor quickly if exposed to extreme conditions. By creating the right storage setup, you essentially freeze the coin in time, allowing it to retain its high-grade beauty for decades or even centuries. What makes the 1969 no mint mark Lincoln penny particularly appealing to collectors is not just its financial potential, but also its connection to a pivotal year in American history. The late 1960s were a period of revolution, innovation, and national pride, and owning a coin from that era is like holding a tangible fragment of the time. For some, the appeal lies in nostalgia, remembering a childhood moment when pennies were treasured and saved in jars or rolled into paper tubes to buy treats. For others, the attraction is strictly numismatic as they strive to complete a full set of Lincoln memorial cents covering every year and mint. In such collections, high-quality examples of each date become increasingly difficult to acquire, and when one appears in the marketplace with brilliant luster and perfect strike, demand surges. Auctions often showcase these coins, and stories abound of seemingly ordinary 1969 pennies selling for several $1,000s simply because of their condition and certification. The journey of this coin from everyday circulation to elite collector's item demonstrates the remarkable transformation possible in numismatics. A coin that once bought a stick of gum slipped easily into the pocket of a child or jingled in the change drawer of a corner store can today command serious attention and money in collector circles. The $3,800 market value is not just about copper. It reflects the passion of collectors, the importance of preservation, and the story that every coin carries from the day it was struck until now. When you examine one closely, you're not just seeing Abraham Lincoln or a memorial building. You're touching history, artistry, and economic value rolled into one small disc of metal. And if you ever stumble upon a bright, uncirculated 1969 penny with no mint mark, don't dismiss it as trivial change. It could be your gateway into the fascinating world of rare coins and, if graded at the highest levels, a life-changing discovery tucked away in something as humble as a penny. Next up, when you pick up a 1971 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, you might at first think it is nothing more than a simple cent. The kind of coin that could be found in nearly every American household during the early 1970s. Yet when examined through the eyes of a numismatist, this unassuming coin reveals layers of artistry, history, and hidden value that transform it into a prized collectible worth as much as $3,400 in today's market. At first glance, it is just another penny, copper-toned and small, but the story that surrounds it, combined with the extraordinary rarity of high-grade examples, has elevated it from everyday change into an object of fascination for collectors. The year 1971 itself was one of great cultural and political shifts. The United States was grappling with the Vietnam War. The Apollo 14 mission successfully returned astronauts to the moon, and the world was moving rapidly into a new era of technological and social transformation. Amid these massive events, the Philadelphia Mint quietly produced millions of pennies, many of which entered circulation and were quickly worn down by daily use. Yet a small number of these coins, when preserved in pristine condition, became treasures that could later be valued in the thousands, creating a bridge between ordinary American life and the elite world of coin collecting. The obverse of the 1971 penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, continues the enduring tradition of depicting President Abraham Lincoln, whose strong and noble profile had first appeared on the cent in 1909. His portrait is crisp and dignified, facing right, with his hair and beard sculpted in fine detail. The motto, "In God We Trust," rests proudly above his head, while the word "Liberty" appears to the left and the date 1971 sits on the right. The most important detail here is the absence of a mint mark, which confirms that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In an age where coins from Denver and San Francisco carried identifying letters, Philadelphia continued its tradition of minting coins without marks, which might seem like a minor detail but is crucial for collectors. For them, this absence is part of what makes the coin special, helping to separate it from other mint issues of the same year. Turning the coin over, the reverse side once again features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, a work of miniature architecture captured in copper. The symmetry of the building, with its clean columns and central chamber, represents both American pride and the legacy of the nation's 16th president. Above the memorial stretches the inscription, "United States of America," while beneath it lies the national motto, "E pluribus unum," reminding everyone of unity among diversity. At the bottom, the denomination 1 cent is boldly displayed, leaving no doubt about the coin's face value, even though collectors know its true worth extends far beyond that number. What makes the 1971 version particularly intriguing is the sharpness of its details in uncirculated form, with brilliant red luster and mirror-like surfaces that separate ordinary pieces from extraordinary ones. Despite its massive mintage, the value of up to $3,400 comes from the scarcity of examples in near-perfect condition. Billions of these coins circulated widely, clinking in soda machines, passing through the hands of children collecting bubblegum money, or jingling in the pockets of workers during the early 1970s. Naturally, circulation inflicted scratches, dings, and discoloration on most of them, leaving only a small handful of untouched coins preserved by accident in rolls, bags, or collector hoards. It is these few survivors in gem condition, graded MS-67 red or higher by professional services, that command eye-popping prices at auction. For the average 1971 penny in circulated form, the value remains a cent or two at best. But for coins with blazing red surfaces, perfect strikes, and no visible flaws, demand surges. Collectors seeking to complete their memorial cent sets often compete fiercely for the finest specimens, driving values to thousands of dollars. If you suspect you may have one of these valuable 1971 no mint mark pennies, there are several steps you can take to check its authenticity and quality. First, use a sensitive scale to confirm its weight. Genuine examples should weigh about 3.11 grams with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Counterfeit pieces may differ in weight, which immediately raises suspicion. Second, examine the details of Lincoln's portrait and the memorial under magnification. Genuine coins will have sharp, evenly spaced lettering and a well-defined strike. Look especially at the date 1971, since counterfeiters sometimes attempt to alter other dates into rarer ones. Another factor to consider is the color designation. Professional grading assigns coins labels like red, red-brown, or brown, depending on how much of the original copper luster remains. A coin with full red luster is vastly more valuable than one that has toned brown over time. For absolute certainty, collectors rely on grading companies like NGC and PCGS, which not only authenticate the coin, but also seal it in a protective slab that guarantees its condition and prevents further damage. Such certification can mean the difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one fetching $3,400 at auction. For storage, the 1971 Lincoln Memorial penny requires thoughtful handling to maintain its delicate copper surface. Unlike silver or gold, copper is particularly vulnerable to environmental changes, and improper storage can lead to discoloration or spotting. To protect your coin, never handle it directly with bare fingers, since the natural oils on skin can leave permanent marks. Instead, use latex-free gloves or handle the coin by its edges only. Place it inside a hard, airtight capsule, which prevents exposure to air and moisture. Many collectors also choose to use archival quality flips made of mylar or polyester, which provide both visibility and protection. It is crucial to avoid holders made of PVC plastic, as these can release chemicals over time that corrode the copper surface. For long-term safety, coins should be kept in a temperature-controlled environment, a place with stable humidity and away from direct light. Even small fluctuations in temperature can accelerate toning, so a safe deposit box or a specialized coin cabinet often provides the best results. By investing in proper storage, you can ensure that the 1971 penny retains its brilliant surfaces and continues to rise in value with time. The collector. Appeal of the 1971 no mint mark penny is rooted not only in its scarcity at high grades, but also in its historical connections. This was the era when the Lincoln cent was still made of solid copper, giving it a heavier feel and richer color than the copper-plated zinc pennies introduced in 1982. Many collectors prefer the older coppers for their durability and beauty, making coins from the early 1970s particularly desirable. Furthermore, the coin is part of the larger Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, a span of nearly 50 years. For collectors building complete sets, the 1971 coin is a necessary piece, and finding it in flawless condition is an exciting challenge. Stories abound of individuals discovering brilliant red rolls of these pennies tucked away in old banks or inherited collections, with a few lucky examples grading high enough to bring thousands at auction. These tales fuel the imagination and keep collectors searching through seemingly ordinary change in hopes of uncovering a hidden gem. The market history of this coin provides striking examples of its value potential. In recent years, auction records have shown that certified MS-67 red 1971 pennies can fetch several $1,000s, while coins of slightly lower grade still attract strong interest. The rarity lies not in the year itself, but in the survival of flawless examples, which is why collectors emphasize the importance of condition. When a coin like this comes to market, it often sparks competitive bidding, as buyers recognize how few truly pristine examples exist. As a result, the 1971 no mint mark penny has become one of those quiet stars of the Lincoln Memorial series, easy to overlook in worn condition, but stunning in mint state. both in appearance and in value. What makes this coin particularly fascinating is the contrast between its humble face value and its collector price. For decades, people carried these pennies without giving them a second thought, letting them clatter around in jars or line the bottoms of drawers. Yet the very few that survived untouched are now commanding more money than anyone in 1971 would have imagined. This contrast highlights one of the great lessons of numismatics, that ordinary coins can become extraordinary treasures when history, condition, and collector demand intersect. It also inspires collectors to keep searching through their coins carefully, knowing that valuable finds may be hiding in plain sight. The 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, valued up to $3,400, stands as a reminder of how coins are more than just money. They are history in your hands, symbols of leadership and art, reflections of their time, and, in the right condition, financial assets worth preserving. Its journey from Philadelphia presses to modern collector markets shows how something as small as a penny can carry immense worth, both sentimental and monetary. For those who discover one in dazzling, uncirculated red brilliance, it is not just a coin. It is a treasure, a piece of America, and a lasting connection to the artistry of the U.S. Mint. Next up, the 1974 no-mint Mark Lincoln. Memorial Penny is one of those fascinating coins that on the surface appears like any other ordinary penny. Yet when you dig deeper, it reveals an incredible story that makes collectors view it with special attention. This penny was minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on coins. And while millions were produced, only a small number in pristine condition or with unique characteristics stand out to collectors today. At its core, the 1974 penny is composed primarily of copper, as this was before the major transition to zinc in 1982, and it carries the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner with the reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. What makes this coin particularly intriguing is not only its historical background, but also the collector demand that has raised its market value to around $3,100 in the right condition. The value of the 1974 no-mint Mark penny hinges on several factors, the most obvious being condition. A coin graded as uncirculated or mint state, especially if slabbed by a trusted grading service like NGC or PCGS, can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Collectors pay close attention to luster, strike quality, and whether the coin has been preserved without scratches, dents, or signs of cleaning. Even the smallest blemishes can significantly reduce value. Another major factor is the presence of errors and varieties. For example, some 1974 pennies are known for having doubled die obverses, where parts of the date or lettering appear doubled due to die misalignment during production. Such varieties are rare and can command prices far higher than regular issues, making them prized targets for error collectors. The 1974 penny also carries importance because it came just before a critical moment in U.S. coinage history. In 1974, the U.S. Mint experimented with producing pennies made from aluminum instead of copper due to rising metal costs. Although these aluminum cents were never released for circulation and most were destroyed, a few survived and are considered among the most legendary rarities in numismatics. This connection to 1974 gives even the regular copper penny from that year an added layer of significance, as it represents the last period before that experiment. For collectors, learning how to check a 1974 no-mint Mark penny is crucial. The first step is examining the coin under proper lighting and using a magnifying glass to inspect details such as the date, lettering, and Lincoln's profile. Look for sharpness in design, especially in Lincoln's hair and beard, which often show wear first. For error varieties, pay special attention to the date and the motto, "In God We Trust," where doubling may appear. Next comes understanding grading standards. A coin in circulated condition might only be worth face value, but one that remains in brilliant uncirculated condition could be valued at hundreds or even thousands. Submitting a coin for professional grading is often the best way to establish its true market worth. Storing a valuable 1974 penny correctly is just as important as finding one. Coins should never be cleaned, as cleaning damages the surface and reduces value. Instead, store the penny in a protective holder such as a tuquet flip, an airtight capsule, or a coin album with non-PVC pages. Keeping coins in a cool, dry environment helps prevent tarnishing and corrosion, preserving their natural patina and appeal for collectors. Collectors also consider provenance and historical context when valuing coins like the 1974 penny. A coin that has been part of a notable collection or sold at a prestigious auction might carry extra prestige and value. This, combined with rarity, condition, and demand, determines why one seemingly ordinary penny can sell for thousands while another is worth just a cent. The $3,100 market value of the 1974 no mint mark. Lincoln Memorial Penny is a reflection of this balance between rarity, preservation, and collector enthusiasm. It shows that even coins minted in large numbers can become treasures under the right circumstances. The thrill for collectors lies in the possibility that such a coin might appear in their pocket change, inherited collections, or tucked away in an old jar of pennies. To sum it up, the 1974 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial Penny is far more than a piece of copper struck in Philadelphia. It is a snapshot of American history, a product of a fascinating era in U.S. coinage, and a reminder of the hidden treasures that can lie in plain sight. With a market value reaching up to $3,100 for top examples, it proves that in numismatics, rarity is only part of the story. The condition, historical context, and collector demand all come together to transform a 1-cent coin into a prized collectible. Next up, when you come across a 1976 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, at first it may look like just another ordinary cent that once circulated heavily during America's bicentennial year. But for coin collectors and numismatists, it holds a story that stretches far beyond its tiny copper surface. Because in the right condition, this penny can achieve a market value of $2,500, transforming something most people would dismiss as spare change into a serious collectible asset. And the journey of how it reached that point is both historical and fascinating. The year 1976 was monumental in the United States, celebrated as the bicentennial of American independence, with nationwide parades, commemorative coins like the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar featuring special patriotic designs and a surge in public pride. But while the penny itself did not receive a special design, the cents struck in Philadelphia that year without a mint mark are still directly tied to the same spirit of history, representing the everyday coinage that moved through the hands of millions during that celebratory era. On the obverse, the 1976 penny continues to showcase the timeless bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose portrait first appeared in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth, and even in 1976, the design had lost none of its iconic weight. Lincoln's dignified profile faces right with his distinctive beard, conveying authority and solemnity, while the inscriptions "In God We Trust" arches above, liberty appears to his left, and the year 1976 is clearly displayed to his right, unaccompanied by any mint mark, signaling its origin at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time traditionally did not stamp a P on cents. The reverse, by Frank Gasparo, features the Lincoln Memorial, one of America's most recognizable landmarks in Washington, D.C., its columns sharply detailed, with the seated statue of Lincoln faintly visible inside when magnified, a small artistic detail that makes this reverse especially admired among collectors. Across the top, the inscription "United States of America" asserts national identity, while the phrase "E pluribus unum" just above the memorial reinforces the founding idea of unity within diversity, and the denomination 1 cent stands firmly at the bottom, reminding everyone that even the smallest coin has value. Unlike the quarters, halves, and dollars of 1976, the penny did not receive a bicentennial dual date of 1776-1976, which in some ways makes it a hidden relic of the year. A coin that quietly served its role without fanfare but now, decades later, attracts attention precisely because so few survive in pristine condition. The key to understanding why this penny can sell for $2,500 lies in the difference between sheer mintage numbers and collectible rarity. While the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 1976, nearly all of them circulated endlessly, suffering scratches, discoloration, and heavy wear, because the penny was a workhorse coin used daily for purchases small and large. The true rarity emerges only in the uncirculated survivors, coins that were preserved in bankrolls, coin folders, or by sheer chance and still retain their original luster. Collectors value condition above all else, and for a copper coin that tarnishes easily, finding a 1976 no mint mark example with blazing red surfaces and free from spots or blemishes is extraordinarily difficult. When such coins are graded at high levels like MS67 red or above by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, they instantly move into the category of premium collectibles, where dedicated collectors compete at auctions, pushing values into the thousands. Even a 1-point difference in grade can mean a swing of hundreds or even thousands of dollars in price, which is why certification plays such an important role in determining a coin's true worth. For the everyday person who stumbles upon a 1976 penny and wonders if it might be valuable, there are clear steps to take before assuming it's a hidden treasure. Start by weighing the coin. A genuine copper penny of this year should weigh about 3.11 grams and have a smooth edge. Anything lighter might be a later zinc replacement or a counterfeit attempt, while heavier readings could suggest plating or alteration. Next, examine the surface carefully under good light and magnification. If the coin has heavy scratches, dull color, or worn features, it likely has only face value. But if it shines with bright red luster and shows crisp detail in Lincoln's hair and beard, it could be worth much more. The lettering on both obverse and reverse should appear sharp, and the steps on the Lincoln Memorial should show clarity without flattening. Another element to consider is the color designation used by grading services. Coins classified as full red are vastly more valuable than those marked red-brown or brown, since the natural oxidation of copper over decades tends to turn pennies darker. Finding a 1976 penny that retains its full red brilliance is like discovering a time capsule, as if the coin has escaped the ravages of age altogether. For ultimate verification, collectors often turn to professional grading services, which not only authenticate and grade the coin, but also seal it in a protective holder that preserves both its condition and its market identity for future sales. One fascinating aspect of the 1976 penny is its cultural context. Because 1976 was a bicentennial year, nearly every coin struck in the United States carries a sense of nostalgia for that period of national pride. Collectors often seek out full sets of 1976 coinage, and while the quarters, halves, and dollars with their special designs dominate attention, the penny from that year becomes the unsung hero of the collection, representing continuity rather than change. It's a coin that quietly connects the bicentennial celebrations to everyday life, reminding us that while special commemoratives were struck, ordinary people continued to use the humble penny in millions of transactions, and it was this very ordinariness that gives the coin its magic today, because survival in gem condition from such heavy use is so rare. Once a collector obtains a high-grade 1976 no-mint mark penny, proper storage practices become crucial to preserving its value. Unlike silver or gold, copper is highly reactive, meaning that exposure to air, moisture, and even fingerprints can cause permanent damage over time. To keep the coin in peak condition, it should be stored in an airtight holder or slab that prevents oxidation, ideally made from archival quality, non-PVC materials. Gloves should always be worn when handling raw coins to prevent oils from the skin transferring to the surface. Storage in a cool, dry environment away from direct sunlight is equally important, as fluctuations in temperature and humidity can accelerate toning or spotting. Many serious collectors go a step further, keeping their coins in climate-controlled safes or even using silica gel packs to absorb excess moisture in storage areas. Such measures may seem extreme for a penny, but when that penny is worth $2,500, preservation becomes a matter of protecting an investment as well as a piece of history. Auction results further prove the hidden power of this coin. Over the years, high-grade certified 1976 no-mint mark pennies have crossed the auction block and consistently surprised both bidders and onlookers, fetching thousands of dollars despite being a coin most people assume is worthless. Each sale reinforces the lesson that rarity in top condition, not just mintage numbers, defines true numismatic value. For collectors who manage to secure one of these gems, the coin becomes a highlight of their Lincoln Memorial cent collection, a reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight. Ultimately, the 1976 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny is more than just copper and design. It is a snapshot of America in its bicentennial year, a period when the nation reflected on 2 centuries of independence while stepping forward into a new era. Though it did not receive the flashy dual-date redesign that graced other coins, it remains deeply tied to that year's historical narrative. To hold one in pristine condition is to hold a quiet yet powerful reminder of 1976 America, of Lincoln's enduring legacy, and of the surprising fact that even the smallest coin, when preserved against all odds, can transform from pocket change into a $2,500 collectible admired and sought after by collectors around the world.